it involves aerialists, and it also involves Rowan Pearce's design where he's transforming the air with light, creating architecture that the performers move through above and beyond. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Creating architecture in the air.
Yeah.
With bodies, with people, with movement.
With light. He uses smoke to fill the space with something that the light can hit, but it basically creates a kind of a cosmic space, and he plays with portals, doorways, floors and ceilings that sort of shape shift, and the performers disappear behind them. And yeah.
So when you do the show again, 3 years on, we asked from the first one, new environment, new space, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it exactly the same, or do you adapt it to fit?
Yeah, so in 22 we were going to perform, but we got cancelled because of COVID, and we were in a warehouse space in Wellington. So the work was originally an immersive experience for the audience to move through as well, and so that they were surrounded by the performance, the aerialists and, you know, front, back, sides. And then last year we premiered it properly.
So that was impressive. It feels so natural that I feel like I could get up there.
Yes,
Could I?
you probably could. Not today, but yeah, we'll get you into some training and
Yeah. Even though this is it's not the first time that you're doing this performance. What are the challenges, I guess, of still making it unique, but keeping the safety elements and the same elements that you've put into them?
I think we just try not to overrun it so that the performers get really excited about doing those components. I mean, I think that if you overrun stuff, you get too familiar with it. But also we've got understudies that are learning, so every role in the show has now got somebody learning it now that we know it, which is really cool.
Is that important to you?
It is.
Training?
It's really, really important in terms of, like, I guess, the longevity of the work and being able to kind of be malleable. Okay, team, that was great. Really good. And the jumps were really good.
Where did you get the idea to be in the air?
So I've worked with an artist called Jenny Ritchie, who had returned back home from time in Switzerland, and she'd been working with Rigolo Circus, and I met her on WOW years ago, and her trajectory as an artist when she came home was interested in that contemporary space of circus, and I was interested in the contemporary space with dance, and we wanted to get together and see whether we could find a language where the dancers and the aerialists could be together. I mean, they can't turn into each other's art form overnight, and we weren't expecting them to, but we were interested in trying to find an apparatus where they could meet and be equal. So we ended up playing around with this structure that she had learnt on called the Le Balou, which is, I think, French for dragonfly, and it's like two squares or doorways rotating like this. They sort of just miss each other like dragonfly wings. So that is where we placed dancers and aerialists, and that's where we found that they could both be equal in their art forms on that particular apparatus. Like their training made them equal. And then from there we developed further apparatus that we put the aerialists in. One was a double orb, which worked with the physics, where you put bodies inside an orb and then the other orb spins on the outside. It creates a lot of sort of physic energy. Yeah.
As a teacher and a creator, a mentor with an air show, what does that look like for you? Are you on the ground or are you in the air?
Both. But at the very beginning, when we were looking at this, I have done aerial work before, not as much as Jenny, but I've been in harness work before and I love it. And we worked together on this very simple idea of just the hand loops and taking each other's weight and using that to propel ourselves with energy over an apparatus. And that is a beautiful moment in the show where the dancers are flying and you can't tell where the energy has come from, but it's actually literally just coming from each other.
When they're, sharing the weight, or I think you explained it better than me in the interview, but they are technically sharing each other's weight to fly.
Yes.
How is it, the challenge of trusting the other person, is that a big part of it?
Yeah, huge. Yeah, especially with that part. So, I mean, there's the choreography, and then there's the music and the timing. But at the core of it is that trust, and just making sure that you're there for your partner, like a duet, like when you're dancing as well. So even just sharing that weight, and it's quite a
and it's
metaphor.
not as simple as just leaning back. I see that there's a lot of pulling at the same time.
It requires a weight
even
flow and muscle. So knowing when to let go and use your body as the kind of like pulley system or the physics, and then knowing when to give it a bit of power.
When you finally engaged with your dancers, what were their reaction?
They love this. They love this piece. They love the challenge of it. I mean, I think I've picked dancers that have a natural affinity to want to grab onto those ropes and fly. So, it's a bit of a playground for them. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're flying
When I'm watching that?
when you're up there in the harness?
Oh, yeah.
What's that like?
That is a cool feeling. I love the hand loops. I mean, I still get on them, and now and again, Jenny and I will have a little warm-up session together. So, I'm still playing on those apparatus.
Where do your ideas come from? We were talking about how on the flight up, you said you had a very busy mind, and I imagine you do. You have been creating new ideas for decades.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ideas come from a group of people in the room, and those people being interested in working together for a start. So the collaborative process is at the heart of what I love, and also with that, their talent and skill. So with Jenny's talent and skill as an aerialist herself, and then now as an aerial coach and designer, and then she went off to fine arts school and studied ceramics and rocks and the structures, and it's all very linked. And with that came an interest in architecture and the spirituality of architecture and how that relates to different cultures and religions, and how architecture is very specific to those things, and light. So, that's where we brought Rowan in, and the ideas come, and I just sort of flow with them. Like I listen to people's stories, and I find them fascinating, and I love getting into the space with people's stories.
With that approach, it's fair to say you will never run out of ideas. You have to keep meeting people.
That's right. It's true.
Just bringing new people into your collaborations.
Yeah.
You were behind the opening of the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023. We all watched that. And show director for World of Wearable Arts Awards since 2002.
Yeah.
Do you still get excited about it?
I do. With that show, when I first started, I was very young in my career and very interested in contemporary direction. And so when I went down to Mapua to meet Susie and saw what she was doing, I was like, okay. So I learned a lot about scale with that show.
Let's just have a wee trial and see if it fixes it, and if not, we shall revert to plan B.
Malia, where did it all begin? Were you two in a tutu?
Oh, was I in a tutu?
Yeah,
No.
I mean, where did your love of dance and creativity start? Do you remember?
I just think it was always there. I remember my grandmother gave me a book, and she also taught me to roller skate and spent time with me because I was really... But I used to be a bit of a daydreamer. I was always in my mind with imagined worlds. So, and I remember going there a lot and imagining. We had not a lot around us, so freedom to spend time and create. Plus my parents were into music. My mum was a double bass player and my dad was a bit of a clown, so he rode a unicycle.
Like literally a clown on a unicycle, or was he just creative?
Just a clown. Yeah.
Did he create an environment for you to create?
They created lots of environment for children to create in, so I was observing that, and they were into gymnastics. They were teachers, and they had to teach everything. So, I just really loved it when they'd put on a show and be in that space. Yeah, and the smell of those weird crayons that they used to put on your face. They've got a funny smell, but if I smell them, it kind of...
Are we in the 80s here?
70s.
70s, 80s.
Yeah, 70s, 80s.
What's the state of New Zealand arts and creatives dance? How are we doing on the world stage?
It's a big question, but how are we doing on the world stage as an art form? We create amazing artists from this country, and when I travelled, dancers from New Zealand stand up against anyone else in the world.
What is it about them?
I don't know. I tried to work out that somebody asked about the physicality, it's the integration of the forms, it's the drive of the dancer. We create really good dancers. Yeah, they can go and audition in any country and company and have a really good chance of getting in. Yeah.
So back to Belle, what do you want the audience to take away?
We created this piece when it first had its first outing was in the middle of COVID. So we were really conscious at that point of wanting to create a really good experience for people, where they can get away from this space of looking down and actually look up and beyond the now. We wanted to create a space in which the audience can have their own experience. We're not telling them what experience to have. We're wanting them to have an immersed experience of the sound and light, and for it to be affecting, and for it to really kind of engage the imagination for otherness.